everybody, welcome back to my channel. You once again joined me on the floor, and today I'm here with another what I spend in a week as a Brit living in Australia. Now, I first uploaded a video like this when we were in Melbourne, and I thought it would be quite interesting to do it whilst also here, just to kind of compare the cost of living, but also obviously it is different depending on like what activities we're doing, how much we're eating out. So week by week, I would really say that our spending varies. Like in Brisbane as a whole, we've probably been spending slightly less than we were in Melbourne, but then also in Melbourne we were working hospitality jobs, so it's very up and down, and it has been really the entire time that we've been in Australia. But I'm not going to waffle on, I'm just going to get straight into it. But before I do, I want to kind of make clear just how much the overheads are that we're not like specifically paying in this video. But for example, the accommodation, Tom and I got this at a bit of a bargain, I'm not gonna lie, because we booked it so far in advance. We have been paying 21 British pounds, which is this in Australian dollars, each per night. So I'm gonna include that straight away across this little spreadsheet kind of thing that I've made. So that is the cost of staying here every single night. Other than that, we don't actually have any other costs that I can think of really. We're not paying for a gym membership, we're not paying for like a car rental, and in that 21 pounds there's no maintenance bills. Like that covers all of that, because this is like an apart hotel. Like we've rented an apartment out of this building which is like long-term lets, but they also do have like just hotel apartments. So because of that, the Wi-Fi is included, the electricity is included, the water, everything is in that 21 pounds each per night, like it would be in a hotel, and we paid that on arrival. So that covers that cost. That is the spreadsheet before we even begin the week. But other than that, I'm just gonna flash back and get straight into it. This video is quite all over the place because I do find it easier to just kind of round up at the end of the day what I've been spending. Sometimes I'll spend like a random £1 or £2, and then I think back at the end of the day and I'm like, oh, I've not spent that much, and I'm like, oh, but I did buy that spinach and feta roll in Coles. Yeah, I did buy that. I did buy that Sprite as well. So it's just kind of easier to get a whole picture at the end of the day. But without further ado, we're gonna flash back to Saturday, I think it was, that I started this video, and have a look at the week overall. So it's Saturday, it's the start of the challenge, and I thought I would start it today. Well, it's not a challenge actually, it's literally just documenting my life. Today we are going to the Women's World Cup. If you do want to see that, it's probably already up. In fact, it definitely is in a vlog, but I thought it was a good day to start like documenting this, because every other day this week I've really not gone out anywhere. Like I've been sitting pretty much at my laptop most of the time. So the only thing I've spent so far today is $9.50. I think it was $9.48 in Officeworks. Officeworks is basically a stationery shop, kind of similar to WH Smith, and I picked up some accessories for my Eras Tour outfit and also a pen. Here is Thomas.
Hello.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed shopping in there. I love a stationery shop. So my total spend for the day so far is $9.48. I don't know what I'm gonna spend at the World Cup. We are gonna be probably having some drinks. I don't know if I'm gonna get food. It's a 7:30 p.m. kickoff. All of the games are quite late just because obviously they're televising them around the world, and the Australian time zone means we're super far ahead compared to like the rest of the world. So 7:30 p.m. kickoff means we probably will end up getting drinks and food in the stadium. But first we're going for some drinks at one of our friends' flats, so we're not spending any money there. We're gonna walk there. We've already got the drinks. We bought them last week, but I think a can costs about $5. That brings the total spend up to this. Let's go. Okay guys, so I think I'm gonna pop it on screen because I can't do the maths like on the top of my head, but here's what I spent at the football. Yeah, the way we were kind of doing it was I bought the drinks in the stadium and then we went for a drink afterwards and Tom bought the drinks, so we kind of just did like 2 rounds. But this was how much I spent this evening, and to be honest I don't think that's awful. Like I did also have some fries and everything was like fairly, I mean it was expensive, it was a stadium, but for a stadium it wasn't crazy prices. Like a wine was $12, which is obviously still a lot, but it wasn't like crazy a lot, and I think it was kind of worth it because yeah, it's a sporting event. But yeah, this brings my total spend for today up to this, and I shall pick you guys up tomorrow and catch you up then. Which one are you thinking? Yes. We have got a little picnic, guys. The Tim Tams definitely are gonna melt. this is my total spend of the day. I'm not going to try and tell you an exact figure before I do the math, but I spent in Woolworths for the picnic, which was kind of like just a load of snacks and stuff. I bought this and then we went to Starbucks, but Tom paid in there, so I didn't spend that. But obviously the food we kind of split. I do know that doing these videos is not always an accurate representation because we are traveling as a pair and we kind of just do it like, oh, you pay for this, I'll pay for this, you pay for this kind of thing, instead of like splitting it evenly. So it's not, this isn't like specifically just me, but that was what we spent in there. And then I also went to Big W and I picked up a couple of little bits, just 2 items which are part of my fancy dress costume for when I go and see Taylor Swift. So that is that spending. And then I'm pretty sure that that is all I spent. We did go in some of the shops, but we were kind of just browsing. So really it was just food and drink, standard. So that brings my total spend so far up to this. That is not the most expensive weekend ever, but also not the cheapest. Like we have eaten out obviously, and we went to the World Cup, so yeah, could have done it cheaper, but also I don't think it's crazy, especially because the Woolies shop wasn't as much as I thought it might be. Buying like a full picnic spread for 2 people, I thought it would be more than this, just because sometimes Woolworths is not cheap, like kind of like the equivalent of going to, I don't know, say like Tesco in the UK rather than like Aldi or Lidl. And they actually do have Aldi here, but they never have them in the city centres. Like they're always kind of out on like an industrial estate. You need like a car to get to them, or like, you know, they're just not as accessible. Otherwise I would always shop in Aldi. We shall continue on with this tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow's going to be a very low spend day because I don't actually have any plans to do anything, and we already have food and stuff that we need to like use up. Could it be a 0 day? Maybe. Good morning, it is Monday, it's the start of actual working week, and I'm going to continue on this little documenting journey of everything that I have bought and spent. So like I said yesterday, today could potentially have been a 0 spending day, but then I realized we did need to buy some stuff for dinner. So we actually do already have stuff in. As I said, I kind of want to be using everything up, but the stuff we have in is for a curry, and the only thing we don't have is the sauce. So we are going to head out to buy some bits at Woolies. Tom, however, also wants to go and buy some running shoes because we were using the gym yesterday. We want to be able to get into a bit more of a routine once we're back from the US. Neither of us have any running shoes or gym shoes. Like when I was in Melbourne, I was going to the gym and doing like 30 minutes on the treadmill, even just like at a fast walk in my Converse, but it really hurts your feet. Like they're just not meant for the gym. Like unless you're doing weights or like something where you're not actually like, there's no impact. Converse are not really the shoes. So I don't think I'm gonna get any, but I might. We shall see. Basically, Tom has found this incredible deal online where there's some Nike running shoes for about £36, which is pretty good for a pair of Nike. He wants to try them on in the store before he orders them online. So we're gonna go just for a walk. Like I say, we're going to Woolies, buying some stuff for dinner. Tom wants to try on these shoes. I don't know how serious I am about going to the gym again, but we shall see. Okay, so we've tried on several pairs of shoes, but neither of us are buying a pair, so I guess that's kind of good for the spending right now, but also bad because Tom did want some running shoes. Tom tried on about 20 million pairs though. I also tried on quite a lot, but the sizing really confuses me here because like it's not the same as the UK, so I'm not really too sure what size I even am meant to be buying here. Little interlude, do ignore the towel that's drying on the chair. Even though this is what I spend in a week, I did just spend $3.50 on this. Here is Thomas, he's just gonna sit there and have his lunch in the background. So I went to Sushi Hub, right? It cost $3.50, which is about £2. And I got this one fairly large sushi roll because I wanted to try it. I am hungry enough to eat more than this, but I just thought I don't know if I'm gonna like it, so I'm not gonna spend the money. Now I really wanna like sushi, guys, because firstly it's everywhere in Australia and apparently Sushi Hub's really good, and secondly it's a fairly healthy, easy lunch, but I just don't love it. I've tried. I used to like eat it on and off when I lived in Leeds, because again in Leeds it's everywhere. Leeds. But I've not tried sushi for like a couple of years. I really want to like this. This is their teriyaki tofu and cucumber. Okay. I'm gonna move you out the shot, Tom.
Oh, rude.
It's not as bad as I remember it being. I think the teriyaki sauce in this is quite strong. It's not bad. It's not my top choice of lunch, but it's definitely not bad. It's not like how I remember it tasting. The teriyaki tofu in it is amazing. $3.50 well spent, I'd say. These are the silly little purchases, guys, that add up on the week. Like $7 in Coles like every day. It's like, where is that? Oh, whoa. It's just dropped down to $5.37. Yeah, these are the things that add up, man. Every single day I'm like, oh, I don't really need to spend anything today. And then I find $5 worth of things to buy in Coles. Did it again. I'm so partial to walking past somewhere and buying a snack. Like, I'm a marketer's dream because I walk past the cafe and I'm like, oh, yeah, I do actually want a spinach and ricotta roll from 7-Eleven right now. That is what I got, and this cost $4.50, which is actually a lot for what it is. I'm not gonna lie, 7-Eleven is so expensive in Australia, which is really bizarre because I feel as though it's a chain that has a reputation for being cheap, but here it is not. I'm gonna crack on with working and I'll give you a full update on everything I've spent in the last 48 hours because I realised I didn't really update you yesterday. And then I also have my HelloFresh delivery to chat through with you on the cost of like food here and what we've been spending like per week on that. And yeah, I'm just gonna update you after I've had my snack. Okay, I told you that I was gonna update you, and I'm gonna update you. Now this is not sponsored, but obviously it's part of my what I spent in a week. Our HelloFresh box arrived today, and this is actually gonna be the last one we're having delivered here in Brisbane, so we aren't staying here for too much longer. So the cost of this is 41 Australian dollars. This is the conversion, and this was with a discount code, but there are always HelloFresh discounts. Like honestly, if you're planning on signing up to this, you'll be able to get quite a few weeks discounted. I have a discount code with them, so many influencers work with them. Usually you can get a pretty good deal. That is what this costs, and usually I always do this for 3 evenings a week because then it allows us a bit of flexibility, firstly to cook for ourselves, but also Tom and I do like to eat out, or like we'll be out with friends, or for example tomorrow we're going to be doing an activity that takes up most of the day. It just means there's a bit more flexibility. So that was this cost for 3 nights worth of food for 2 people, which I actually think is pretty good. If you break it down, I still think it works out at about like £3 a meal, £3 or £4 a meal, and the meals are good every single time. So this is kind of in place of a food shop in this video, but obviously it's just worked out slightly differently. Anyway, the only other cost that I have not spoken about is the additional cost yesterday. I actually was shooting some content. I will insert a couple of photos here and here. I think the TikTok will be up actually. I was working with City Beach Australia, which are one of my favourite clothing shops here. To do this content, I actually got an Uber there and back to the river. So we're not staying like right on the river, we're not too far away, but it was also cold and dark. So I got a taxi there and got a taxi back with Tom, and that came to this. Not the cheapest, but I guess technically I was doing this for work. Like it's all very up in the air. There's a lot of blurred boundaries with influencing and like this sort of job, because it's like, well, it wasn't really work, but it kind of was work. So I got this Uber to shoot this content. So that was in the cost yesterday, which brings the weekly running total to this. I will be honest, tomorrow is going to be the most expensive day and also doesn't happen every week, but we are actually doing an excursion tomorrow, but I'm going to chat to you about that in the morning, because right now I'm about to get ready to go and see the Barbie movie. And again, I don't go to the cinema every single week, but I feel like I've actually filmed this on a week where I'm quite busy, but I guess these weeks happen. Like sometimes things like this happen and that's just the way it goes. So I will bring you with me to the cinema and let's see what I spend. Sometimes guys, the cinema is really expensive here, but it really just depends on which chain you go to. Like in the UK there are cinemas that are more expensive, but I feel like they're all roughly in the same general area, whereas here it varies so much depending on the chain of cinema that you go to. So I don't know how much this is going to cost, but I'm going to see Barbie and I'll keep you updated with what I spend. Hello, good morning. The spending of the day is starting early today with $30 on an Uber to the ferry. Also, we're not actually staying at this address anymore once this video goes up, because I know that you can see where we've been staying. I actually do really recommend this whole area if you are over in Brisbane, but that is really besides the point right now. We are spending $30 on this Uber, but it is quite a long drive, so what can you do? So the update is coming from a slightly different location. I'm currently on a boat, and I thought that whilst it's in my mind, because I'm thinking about how expensive today has been, I thought I'd update you on what I've spent whilst I'm on the island. I will go through the costs of like getting here once we're back. It would be right now that they're closing the boat up. But I spent $26 on food whilst we were here. Like I say, Tom and I don't split everything like bang down the middle. Like I bought the lunch and then Tom bought the coffee, and then Tom bought the stuff in the gift shop, and then I got the Uber here and Tom's gonna get the Uber back, so it is a little bit off obviously, but like roughly on food and drink today I've spent $26, and then you guys saw the cost of the Uber, and then everything else that we did whilst we were here was actually already included in the price that we had paid. I'm gonna go through like the cost of this excursion when we are back, just to kind of give you a rough idea. Now obviously we're not doing this sort of thing every single week. When we're based in a city, usually we do stay in the city. Like when we were in Melbourne, predominantly we were in Melbourne the whole time. Morton Island was on our list of things we really wanted to do whilst we were based in Brisbane, just because we didn't do it the last time and we'd both never been. And I thought I would include it in this video and in this, like, I keep wanting to call it a challenge, but it's not a challenge because it's literally just my week. Just because it varies it up from just like $5 in Coles, $5 in Starbucks. Like, you know, this was more expensive. This will be the most expensive day of the week, but obviously it's like a full excursion. But yeah, on the island today I spent $26. Oh no, I didn't. I spent $36 because I also hired a locker, which $10 for a locker was actually so expensive. What happened to £1 that you got back when you gave the key back? I miss those kind of leisure centre lockers. Yeah, $36 is what I've spent since being here. Okay, I am back. I've washed my hair. I'm having one of those nights where I've like slicked my hair back. I've got so much moisturiser on my face. But I told you that I would update you on the cost of the activity that we did today. Now, for full disclosure and clarity, Get Your Guide very kindly gifted us this activity because we do work with them when we're like traveling around, and it's a partnership that I love because we've used Get Your Guide for years. And every time I speak about it, it sounds like a sponsorship. They're not sponsoring it, but they did gift us the activity. However, I do want to talk through like how much it would have cost. So in total, that today would have cost 238 Australian dollars, which is 124 British pounds. But that was for both of us, so it was basically £61 there or thereabouts each, and you can book that on Get Your Guide. My Get Your Guide is set up in Australian dollars, so it just went through in Australian dollars, but obviously yeah, £60 a head, and that included the kayak hire, the hire of the snorkeling equipment, and also the return ferry to and from Brisbane. And also, if we'd have wanted to, we could have hired a stand-up paddleboard. We actually didn't because we were really tired, and also I've never stand-up paddleboarded before and it was very choppy, and I feel like you don't just go stand-up paddleboarding in the open ocean. Like, I feel like you try and do that maybe on a lake before you just get a stand-up paddleboard. So we didn't utilize that, but we did utilize the kayaks and the snorkeling, and obviously the ferry as well. So to be honest, for £60 I don't think that's awful, because I think the ferry alone is like £30 maybe, I'm not too sure. But yeah, so that would have been the cost. I'm gonna include it just so that you guys know. Always police sirens. Am I in No Body No Crime? I'm going to include this figure in the spreadsheet, but I'm going to put it in a different colour because I want you to know that this activity was gifted. But if this were just a week where we had booked this off our own back, but quite often we do just book our own activities through Get Your Guide. Like, we use this app all the time, and then occasionally, if they know that we're in a location, they will very kindly gift us the experience, usually in exchange for some content. So definitely keep an eye out on Instagram if I haven't already posted that. But that's kind of how that works. So gonna include that, but like I say, slightly different colour. So this is the running look at the spreadsheet of the week. Now, like I say, today was by far the most expensive day, probably with and without we spent quite a bit on food. The Ubers were really expensive, and there wasn't much we could really do about that. We had no other way of getting to the ferry, so we had to just pay it. This is the running total at the end of Thursday. Wednesday, oh my god. Another day, another $7 spent at Sushi Hub, because apparently, guys, I like sushi. So $7 spent of the day on lunch, and I'm not actually mad because it was really good. A little update from me. So my Friday spend was a total of $80, which sounds a lot, but I'm gonna break it down. I think I filmed the $7 sushi. I then spent $29 in Maya, which I definitely didn't need to do, and there's definitely been a few things this week where I've just been spending where I don't need to spend, but trying to keep this as honest as possible. And the reason I did that is because Maya are closing down and they're selling off everything at a ridiculous cheap price. So $29 in there. And then last night we actually went to watch England play at the fan park. So we were sat on the South Bank in Brisbane, and I spent $20 on food and then $24 on drinks because we were there for about 3 hours. It's not crazy, but it's still added up. I've definitely eaten and drank out a lot this week. But anyway, that brings my Friday total spend up to, and that is this in pounds. So I'm gonna go back, do some maths, edit this video so that I can add it up correctly along the way, and I will get back to you with a total overall spend once I have done that and chat to you then. You join me once again sitting on the floor. However, this time it's a different floor in a different room. We are somewhere so exciting that you guys are going to find out so soon. I'm also about to go out for dinner, hence why I'm dressed like this. But I wanted to finish up my little roundup of the week because I have my little spreadsheet that I've been compiling as I'm going here. And I also have the running total, and that is $692.70, which sounds a lot. It is a lot. So that is 361 British pounds, give or take a little bit. Like, that is as of today's exchange rate. It goes up and down actually quite a lot, but roundabout. And while that is a lot, I know that is a crazy amount to spend in 1 week. I also do want to throw in that that is including all of the accommodation. So like, if we were renting somewhere, that would be like including the rental costs. I feel like I'm gonna sit here and justify myself, and that is why I'm always a bit apprehensive to do these videos, because while I know it is expensive, I also want to say we don't do excursions like Moreton Island every single week, but similarly we are kind of here to be traveling as well as living. Like, we aren't just living our regular lives in Australia, for example, because obviously we've come out here to like explore and to see the country. And all things considered, considering we went to like 3 football matches, the World Cup's really taken a toll on my bank account actually. I don't think that £361 across 7 days is awful when you include the rent, the food, and all of the activities that we did, because we had a really amazing week. Like I said midway through the video, I think I did just pick a week where it was really expensive. When we're just living in a city, probably not usually doing this many things. So I picked an example that's going to be at the higher end of my regular spending, but I do also think that it's quite interesting just to know kind of how much things cost in Australia, how much the Woolworths chips and the Coles chips and the HelloFresh, all things like that are things that you don't always necessarily think about if you're planning on like moving to a country. I would say in some shops, in some areas, it's actually more expensive than the UK, because some foods are just crazy expensive. I guess it's because they're imported. But yeah, anyway, that was a bit of a side tangent, and also the lighting has just changed so much. So I'm gonna end this video here. I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head what my Melbourne one was, but I also think I only did that across 5 days, and I also didn't include the rent, and we were paying a lot more in Melbourne. Like, Melbourne was a lot more expensive to live in. I definitely think that's worth noting. Just my comparison for what I spend in a week as a Brit living in Brisbane. So I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe down below. There's going to be so much fun content coming on my channel soon. I really cannot stress to you just how exciting the next few weeks are. Like, right now, I don't think anything in this hotel room really gives away our location, but it is one of the most exciting places I have ever been. So I shall see you in my next video, which is actually going to still be from Brisbane. We're a little bit behind. Bye guys.